And in a debt-based monetary system, when defaults happen, the demand for those dollars goes down at the level of the loan that's defaulted on, but supply gets really crunched more than just that level of demand. So even though demand falls, the supply of money contracts even more. And so you get this credit contraction, which means dollars are even harder to come by. And so now you've got, it's like musical chairs. Not only did the music stop, but a couple of the chairs are being taken away at the same time too. So you've got, let's just use an example. You've got 100 people walking around 30 chairs. When the music stops, it's 100 people going for 30 chairs. But then imagine 10 chairs disappear as well. So now you've got 100 people going towards 20 chairs. It's kind of the same dynamic. So as the price of oil comes down, it's indicative of demand falling. It's also indicative of these companies and these oil producers, or the whole industry comes under pressure. It's demand destruction, it's supply destruction from a dollar perspective, and it just becomes extremely deflationary. So that actually helps my theory of the dollar getting stronger. It doesn't necessarily help my theory of U.S. asset prices rising. That's not always going to happen every day. But it certainly helps my theory that the supply of dollars will be constricted and it'll be harder to get a hold of them.
Do you think the U.S. is going to amend any NAFTA agreements it had before?
I think it's possible. Whether you like Trump or whether you hate Trump, whether you think what he's doing is right or whether you think he's doing is wrong, he is who he is. Mm-hmm. And he's always going to try to renegotiate things in his favor. And I can, in the last 2 or 3 months, Canada has cut rates 3 times. Mexico's cut a couple times. They just cut rates again today. Their currencies have fallen since the NAFTA deal was negotiated. Mm-hmm. There's actually a clause. I don't have it right in front of me, so I don't have the language exactly, but I know that there is a clause in the recent NAFTA agreement that says, if currency manipulation takes place, this agreement can be null and void, or can be renegotiated. So I can see 6 months from now, 9 months from now, Trump's taking a look at this and he's saying, well, hey, hold on a second, your currency's reached down 20%. You're manipulating your currency. And with Mexico and Canada are going to say, we're not manipulating our currency. Our economies are in trouble. This is the market's taking our currencies lower. And Trump's going to say, I don't care. Because he doesn't care. He just wants his pound of flesh. Yeah. So I think that the dollar will be used as a weapon over the next couple of years. It's already been used as a weapon for several years, but I think it will become increasingly so.
I see one upside though for Canada. So at least for the service work knowledge base, and Silicon Valley has been doing this for a while, but I think this even propagates a little bit more. The amount of developers and workforce they can get for the premium of the dollar in Canada is it's a win-win for the American companies.
Not only that, I'll go another one for you. As companies, one of the impacts going forward of COVID, once COVID is behind us, if it ever is, right? But once it's behind us, I'm not sure that people are going to go back to work in the way that they were before COVID. Mm-hmm. In other words, one thing that I think has been shown is that some of these service businesses, people can do their jobs from home or do them remotely. And I still think it's advantageous to have an office, and I still think offices will still exist, but maybe they don't have all the square footage that they used to, right? Maybe they do offer, people have the ability to work from home in order for these employers to save some money on rental space or whatever it is. And so if they can hire Canadians who can do it just as well as an American counterpart, and they can pay them in Canadian dollars at a much better, telecommuting from Toronto is just as easy as telecommuting from, around the block. Mm-hmm. The distance doesn't really matter. So I do agree with you on that part.
Where do you see us then from a year from now? Like what I kind of want to at least lay out for people, what can regular entrepreneurs or people who are in business, I'm not talking about $1 billion, but what can they do in this circumstance?
Are you talking about Canadians or just people in general?
In general, let's say. Most people have a global business anyways. My business is online. I got customers everywhere.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I would do is I would hold any savings or reserves in dollars.
US, yeah.
and then pay your expenses in Canadian dollars or Australian dollars or euros or whatever it is. But I would hold my savings in dollars. Now I do anyway. It's kind of natural for Americans to do it, but I really think that would be that'd be the first step. I would say is hold as little local currency as you need to. The other thing I would say is if you have a job, keep it. I don't think this is the time to be cavalier with, quitting my job and my value is really high, so I'm going to go get another one somewhere else. Maybe that's the case for you, but I think times are going to be tough over the next couple of years. So I think if you have a source of income, you should respect that source of income and try to keep that source of income. Now, it doesn't mean that it's not an opportunity. What's that saying, that chaos is a ladder, right? So, with this great times of disruption, if you see an opportunity, I'm not saying don't try to get it. I'm just saying be careful and don't just throw caution to the wind. Make sure, but once you've made sure, if you see an opportunity, be ready to take it, but don't just. I don't think it's time to just have a hunch and buy a bunch type of thing. I think you really need to think about what your moves are.
Well, so Brent, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing all your knowledge. If people want to get a hold of you and know more about you, what's the best resource?
You can email me. It's brent@santiagocapital.com. My website is santiagocapital.com. It's just a landing page, but it has my contact information on there. I'm also pretty active on Twitter. It's Santiago AU Fund. So you can find me there. And, I do a number of presentations and podcasts. And funnily enough, which I laugh at this, but if you type dollar milkshake theory into Google, you will actually get a number of links that come up. So if you're interested in hearing more about that, check that out.
Brent, thank you.
Absolutely.